Oshi no Ko, the latest collaboration between Scum/Swish author Mengo Yokoyari and Aka Akasaka of Kaguya-sama fame, has been a resounding success, both commercially and critically, being able to gather an audience in the West, despite the lack of official translation until very recently. Unless you lived in Germany, I guess. Even though name recognition definitely played a huge factor early on, for me included, the series soon got praise on its own for its unique subject matter, compelling drama, and fun characters. And with the anime adaptation starting soon, there's no doubt Oshi no Ko will just get more and more popular. I just don't get it. Is Oshi no Ko the worst manga I've ever read? No. But it is the one that caused me the most mental anguish, and that frustration is not easy to quantify. This video has been in the works for 6 months. I am deeply unwell, even though this manga failed at almost everything in my eyes. From the characters, to the story, to even the themes. They were terrible in their own unique ways, and to summarize it is to destroy a lot of the nuance. Still, in order to create a guiding point for this entire video, let's just say that I hated Oshi no Ko because it had fascinating ideas. It really did, but it managed to drop the ball on pretty much every single one of them, due to genuinely abhorrent writing that ignores some of the most basic story principles. No, they're not doing this, no. That's quite the statement to unpack, so let's go step by step in this way too fucking long video. Grab a bunch of salted sunflower seeds, pour yourself some tea, some youtiao and soy milk if you're watching this in the morning, play that TV show about brave communists killing the Japanese or Democrats, where am I going with this bit? And let me dissect the shit like that one great meme I still think about to this day. One last thing, I usually don't trust YouTube comments to be good or even human, but for this video I would actually love to hear your perspective on what I have to say, because I am fully aware that this opinion isn't that popular and I am still kind of confused. But hey, you gotta be open-minded and curious about what other people think. I swear to God, don't.
I am a swirling vortex of hatred towards all of mankind, and this is my review of the popular cartoon series
Oshi no Ko.
You know, I hate summaries just as much as the next guy, but since Oshi no Ko misleads the audience pretty hard at the start, allow me to give some short context, which means yes, we'll dive headfirst into deep spoilers. Turn away now if you don't want a spoiler to spoiler all over the floor. So this manga starts off being about this gynecologist and this 16-year-old pregnant idol Ai who is planning to have children while hiding that fact from her audience, except the doctor dies and gets reincarnated into one of her kids, and now it's this weird admiration slash attraction slash familial relationship with her. Don't worry about it, it's never gonna matter. And Aka engages in a mild amount of tomfoolery, killing Ai in chapter 10, drastically changing the course of the story. After her death, it's all sad and shit, right? But this AQUA kid, the weird one, the doctor guy, decides to fuck shit up and seek revenge for her, after coming to the conclusion that the culprit was probably his dad, which was really obvious because we as an audience saw a scene where Ai gives her ex her dress, completely killing the sense of revelation in the scene for no reason, and it's not even, wait, isn't this the short version? Now there's a time skip to the twins' teenage years, and while Ruby, the other one, fucks off and does idol shit, AQUA bumps into famous childhood actress KANNA, and finally gets a lead into Ai's past. The story then follows him into different sets and shows as he gets closer and closer to the truth, helping many people in the process, including his girlfriend, kind of not girlfriend, AKANE. And then, something funny happens, but we'll save it for later. I don't like this series very much, but it doesn't mean it has zero redeemable qualities, far from it. I mean, my whole thesis is based on its ruined potential, so obviously I see merit in whatever Akasaka wants to say. First off though, something completely unrelated to that guy, goddamn is this manga beautiful. All of the promotional pages are gorgeous, the character designs are all top notch, everybody looks so pretty, which is not only a feast on the eyes, but also fits the showbiz setting. Mengo did a great job, man, nobody can deny that. Secondly, the amount of detail and realism put into the setting, and in turn, how the characters feel just as real and right at home in said setting should be appreciated. From what I've heard, that is a major part of Oshi no Ko's appeal for other people, and I can totally understand viewing the story as something akin to Shirobako, a workplace slice of life slash drama that's more concerned with showing different aspects of the industry than developing complex storylines and characters. Actually, Oshi no Ko, from its emphasis on character interactions to its relatively low stakes most of the time, sometimes feels more like a slice of life series than anything else. Probably because, well, the guy was writing one at the same time.
I started thinking that maybe because I'm 76 years old, I might be getting too old for cartoons.
Lastly, just the entire Tokyo Blade arc. As a self-contained story, emphasis on self-contained, I really have no complaints. It is peak Oshi no Ko and an incredibly entertaining ride the whole way through, that incorporated a shonen tournament arc basically, with the industry exploration in a tasteful way. The arc also has really great side characters. The mangaka duo and the arc predicament they got into is still legit my favorite part of the whole story. I just want to give the screenwriter a hug, and my goat, who would suck dick just for his play to turn out good, who stands outside after the play is over to observe the happy faces of the audience, because that is the best part of the whole thing. Oh my god, he's so cool. But unfortunately, the dick-sucking producer is about where my praises for the series ends. I think you can see I do sincerely enjoy a lot of the story. So when I say it's still a disaster after all of that, I don't say that lightly. So much of this manga makes me want to tear my fucking hair out, and we're gonna sort out every strand of the reasons why I feel that way. One of my biggest and most complicated problems with Oshi no Ko is the characters. Every major character might start off good, even great, but sooner or later, all fall victim to Akasaka's horrible drama writing that turns them into incomprehensible dumbasses. So let's go through them one by one. No place better to start off than with the most popular girl, apparently, Arima KANNA. I'm gonna say straight up that KANNA in her proper introductory arc Sweet Today is a great character. Despite me not really caring about her personality, like come on guys, she's not that unique. Her development from a bratty kid to someone who's willing to swallow her pride in order to survive in the industry was kind of sad, but also compelling to witness. What I appreciated the most is that despite having all the right to be cynical about the industry at this point, KANNA still seems dedicated to making the best product she can because she respects the audience's intelligence and acting as an art form. That's some baller shit, man. Except, ironically, Akasaka doesn't respect the audience's intelligence enough. I guess he thought we didn't get it the first time, because in every subsequent arc, he just keeps beating the point over our fucking heads. Sweet Today was a short arc, so Akka didn't have time to meander and really dive into KANNA's backstory, which I honestly think make the arc better. Characters take comedic jabs at her relevancy, and KANNA, in the context of appreciating Aqua's acting, mentions a lot of her struggles in the industry since their last meeting, telling us about her problems in a subtle way. I think the arc already painted a sufficient picture of a girl who feels left behind after the child actress fame faded, but still tries her damnedest to stay in the industry without being too explicit about it. Now, I'm not saying it's bad to expand on the idea later, because I'm an Utena fan and my standard of what's obvious should not be taken into account. But Akka just kind of said the same idea again, and like, made her character worse. Okay, so the context is B. Komachi's first show. Oh yeah, by the way, KANNA is an idol now because her high school crush asked her to switch her career and she just did. Basically, KANNA is stressing out over being the leader of their new idol group, which makes a lot of sense, considering it's probably been a while since she's ever been depended upon. The expanded backstory, although pretty heavy-handed and repetitive, still feels compelling under the stressful context, and the speech Ruby gives, aka the only time she's gonna be relevant for all of these arcs, is not bad at all, presenting being an idol as a clean slate for KANNA to try again, which was probably the best framing of this fucking stupid plot point. So, what's the problem here? Well, KANNA gets up on stage, and all of that motivation just disappears. You know how she just said she can start over as an idol? Well, after the crowd starts favoring Ruby, who's basically I, and Memcho because she has clout, KANNA just gives up and starts talking about how jealous she is. And then she goes on this weird spiel about wanting somebody to look at her, which is probably supposed to make you sympathetic, but it just comes off as pathetic, because it was exactly the opposite of what Sweet Today presented to us. Sweet Today told us that despite her neglect, KANNA was still fighting for her skills to be approved every day. But this arc told us that actually, KANNA will cave the second she's not getting enough attention, even though you just understood 10 pages prior that being an idol is different from being an actress. So fucking obviously the skill sets will be different, and you will struggle, and you've seemingly come to terms with that fact, so why are you getting inferiority complex over this? It doesn't even make sense, it's not even good, and I don't even like it. And then there's this little voice in the back of my head that slowly creeps up, saying, bitch, you chose this! You made the dumb fucking decision to join an incredibly volatile line of work for the sole purpose of impressing your crush. What the fuck are you expecting, you dumbass? Alright, so yay, the day gets saved because AQUA, because funny, AQUA, funny. So let's just ignore that scene, I really don't want to think about it again, and move on to the fourth arc, Tokyo Blade, where she has this exact arc again. It's the same thing. It's the same fucking thing. I get that maybe, since KANNA is a teenager and teenagers should not be taken seriously at all ever, that she will probably repeat some mistakes she's made in the past. But 3 times in a row, please get my girl a hobby. This time, it's even less justified because KANNA's back in her forte, acting. So there's even less reason for her to be all pathetic again, especially after the, not auditions, goddammit, I wrote it wrong, rehearsals, where they specifically highlight how KANNA, with the help of other talented actors, has been encouraged to go all out. So if, as AQUA said, she adapts to the situation around her, why the fuck would she not be coming in guns blazing, metaphorically? And why are you trying to present this as the first time KANNA was able to act like she wanted, like the other time just didn't count? count? Oh, and also, remember how you made a big deal about how your opportunities will be limited as an actress once you become an idol? I guess it doesn't fucking matter anymore, but alright, at least this arc seems like the last time this whole plot point is gonna be mentioned, and on top of that, something really exciting happened. Rivalry. It turns out AKANE's whole reason for starting acting was because of KANNA, and after settling their past, KANNA returning to what initially made her special as an actress, it seems like the both of them now want to better their acting in order to match the other person who they admire. It's a promising start to a dynamic that gets completely fucking shafted, because KANNA has to do this idol shit that I really do not have it in me to care about, because you've never given the proper reason. Now her character arc is about how she's sad Aqua's ghosting her or some shit, and yes, it is one of those misunderstandings that could have easily been solved if this fucker just opened his shit-eating mouth. And because of this misunderstanding, she starts questioning why she even became an idol in the first place. I fucking told you. And now it's about the scandal that she got herself in, which gets resolved by AQUA, just like literally every other thing KANNA went through. Because even though the story just spent the whole last chapter telling us how strong KANNA has become, it could not resist putting her in a damsel in distress situation. Manga bad. Manga not good. Okay, so I just noticed this while I was editing the video. So, you know, the last chapter where she becomes strong and shit. AQUA literally says, oh, she doesn't need me either. And it's the job for the adults. Meaning you again? What? And finally, most recently, it's about KANNA graduating and probably quitting being an idol. I don't know at this point. I'm honestly sick, tired, nervous, and broke. And what kind of writing is this? Why would I pray for your health? Baby, I pray for myself. Now, even though it's baffling how one of the story's main characters goes through one of the most blatantly bad character arcs I've ever seen, at least KANNA initially had an interesting character. A child actress who grows out of her fame is a pretty unique concept, and I suppose Akasaka does explore it decently well if you disregard narrative cohesion. Too bad he forgot to do that with the other one. AKANE Kurosawa is at best bland and kind of boring, and at worst fucking incomprehensible. She was introduced in the Love Now reality dating show as someone who doesn't really have a commanding camera presence, and due to that she received a lot of pressure from the higher-ups and fans who just didn't care about her, leading AKANE to make a mistake, accidentally injuring the show's most popular girl. AKANE is then thrown into a vicious online hate cycle that destroys her mental health to a point where she attempts to delete herself. Fake narratives, unrealistic expectations, and dehumanizing the people on screen, it's all very accurately and brutally portrayed, which especially hit home for me because, I mean, look what I'm doing here. But throughout all of this, AKANE herself turned out to be the weakest link. We never really knew anything about her in her introduction, besides that she tries really hard, before she is thrown into this hate bubble. Again, it's all very compelling shit, but AKANE is more treated like a vessel to discuss themes like this, and not an actual character, made worse by how this never matters to AKANE again. I think she brings up this incident like once in the entire rest of the series, which really diminishes the impact of that event. Her personality in general is also just way less defined. Besides being really dedicated to acting and making cute faces sometimes, she's just woman. She's just a woman. But you might say the more important thing to come out of that incident is AKANE and AQUA's relationship. And it does end up being what most of her scenes are about, which I really fucking wish it wasn't. But in order to untangle that web, we need to first talk about our protagonist, AQUA. And this is where it gets interesting. We'll circle back to AKANE soon enough, I promise.
Lots of people die in this show, and it's really scary and weird. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
AQUA is the reason Oshinoko got somewhat good, but also the sole reason for its downfall. Not getting too into his relationship with Ai, which could have been expanded to make more sense, AQUA Hoshino definitely had the most established character in the entire story, partly because it's just plain good writing, but also because since he's with us from the start, we get to spend so much more time with him, giving Akasaka more opportunity to subtly characterize him. AQUA, after seeing his mother Ai die right in front of him, sets out to avenge her, killing the culprit by his own hands. Revenge stories work for a reason, and seeing AQUA channeling what the audience must feel after such a shocking reveal was definitely exciting. Immediately after the time skip, that motive becomes the driving force behind the narrative. Every arc exists because it led to more clues of Ai's past. Well, not every arc, because it gets really weird later, I'm just talking about the early parts, which conveniently disguises how most of these stories and settings are really self-contained, or in more rude words, don't really matter at all to the rest of the narrative. If the story just kept moving AQUA incrementally to his goal, while providing us with interesting scenarios, it guarantees a really good framework to work off of, with pretty much any idea on the table, because the entertainment world is so large and beautiful and horrible and not good and bad. That is how Oshinoko is able to include like 3 chapters of mangaka being mangaka in an arc about a play, aka unironically the best part of the entire manga, without it feeling out of place. The point is, AQUA is the reason Oshinoko could have the entertainment value it did, without caring as much much about the execution of its ideas or the implementation of characters. He's the glue that holds everything together. But AQUA mattered way more than that, as expected from the protagonist. So, objectively speaking, he is one of the most prominent solvers of problems in the series. He not only saved KANNA,
AKANE,
but he also helped the Tokyo Blade play to even continue existing. This came off a bit too ridiculous for me early on, because it felt like the universe was revolving around him. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. The reason AQUA Hoshino is able to operate in the industry like this is because he is an outsider. His mental maturity is able to help him understand people a lot better, as well as approach situations in unique perspectives. Whereas this scene where AQUA lectures a 35-year-old man about protecting children in the same age range as him would come off as the stupidest shit ever.
It's still very stupid, but at least there's a justification.
On top of that, since he is so laser focused on his revenge, social hierarchies and industry standards matter way less to him. For example, this scene where he helps AKANE ask a direct question even when it's considered inappropriate. In Japanese society, aka the king of passive aggressiveness, it seems plausible that someone more direct would have a better time reaching their goals. Now, it doesn't mean when everybody is put down under him so that he can solve everything, it's a good story. Obviously, KANNA is the prime example. Please, just do anything by yourself, please. But in the context of AQUA, it makes sense, and I need to give it that. Even though he is set up as a vengeful, loner kid, what brought nuance to him was the moments where he displayed humanity. AQUA is serious, but he is also dorky and snarky. He reads shoujo manga, is overly protective of his sister, makes sarcastic jokes. Overall, a certified Akasaka character. But deeper than that, we also see his genuine compassion very early on, when he helps out KANNA after being swayed by her passion, and every other act of kindness he does later on. AQUA, despite never really looking or saying the part, is a layered person who's at the same time caring and troubled. It's later revealed that the guilt he got from not being able to save Ai is so crippling, it's actively blocking a real passion of his, and overall just not letting him feel justified to feel happiness, which is really fucked up, considering his general disengaged demeanor. He is the best character in the entire story through the first 3 arcs, and with Tokyo Blade, everything just seemed to be ramping up. This is the first time AQUA took acting seriously in a while, caused by the positively competitive environment of the set. Slowly but surely, he realizes how much he loves acting, and how much he wants to get better at it. He starts appreciating stage plays, he starts intently analyzing how other people act, which all led up to him trying to do emotional acting, only to run straight into intense panic attacks. It's where the trauma element is formally introduced and hits really hard considering the growth AQUA just went through. And it's not just him getting significant character moments. Actually, the entire Tokyo Blade arc feels like a momentous occasion, something akin to the first Avengers movie. Old characters come back to develop some more, like Melt and the mangakas. Characters we all love get new dynamics. This part of the story is genuinely exciting, and if they deliver on the climax, this could just be the moment Oshinoko truly became great. And yeah, this is where it all goes downhill. This is the extent of AQUA Hoshino's revenge scheme. 1. Find guy connected to Ai somehow. 2. Get a strand affair from him. Test DNA to see if he's your father. 3. There's no step 3. That's it, you're done. I feel like Akasaka also realized how easy it is to execute this plan. So in the previous arcs, he at least created reasons for AQUA to stay for the entire arc and not fuck off somewhere after getting a strand of hair. That either involves helping people or a deal he made with the suspect in question. But for Tokyo Blade, I think he forgot, which is honestly not as big of a deal as you think. Since this arc already spent a lot of time building up AQUA's passion for acting, maybe this can be the turning point where he stops being the outsider and is not just participating in the plot for revenge anymore, but instead just wants to keep acting because he loves it. Except it's not how this goes, because his trauma has made it impossible to do emotional acting. AQUA exclaims that he doesn't care what happens to him, and the only reason he's living is to get revenge. Okay, and then he keeps on acting without coming to terms with any of his trauma, making this like actually painful because he needs to get popular to exact his revenge. Acting is my form of revenge. AQUA, dude, all you need is a strand of hair. What the fuck are you talking about? It would have been fine if what AQUA sacrificed his own mental well-being to do, that is putting on a successful play and advancing in the entertainment industry, actually got him closer to his goals. Maybe a new connection, or the father finally knowing the son's existence, or anything. I mean, I still wouldn't like how Akasaka decided to hammer down on the revenge point instead of taking AQUA's character to new, exciting points, like actually becoming a proper actor, making one of the more interesting characters lose a lot of his nuance. But all of this is still undermined by the fact that AQUA's next step, as revealed later, was right fucking there in one of the cast members. And then you start thinking back at how simple his revenge plot was, and how the series tries to convince us that coincidentally, throughout the months they've been practicing this play, AQUA never bothers to get a DNA, or the samples only came in after the play is over. And you realize this is the worst, most forced conflict I've ever seen. AQUA went through all of that anguish for absolutely no reason. Now you might say AQUA still had an incentive to finish the play because he cares about the people in the play and just want them to have a good time, which is a good point. that AQUA never even mentions. Quite the contrary. He just keeps going on about beating them and becoming the best. Why have you started talking in Blue Lock? Well, maybe it's contractual obligations. Yeah, but that still doesn't mean he had to try at all. He did not have to put himself through all of that trauma just to finish a gig, because it's literally not required for his dumbass plan. So you might be asking, why? Zachiem? Kapets, 为什么? What is the point of introducing a crucial development in the narrative that might possibly shape the entire story going forward, and then slashing it in half with an axe just a few chapters later, making the character look like an idiot and treating the audience like one? I don't fucking know. Why did they ruin a potentially decent moment? But the answer might get more clear as we go down even further into this rabbit hole. In the aftermath of the play, AQUA discovers that one of the cast members is his half-brother, and that the half-brother's father was dead the whole time. Wow. First of all, what a magnificent, incredible middle finger to AQUA and the audience this is. My guy suffered pointlessly through all of that, only for it to turn out even more pointless because nothing mattered in the end. It just really leaves me questioning what the point of doubling down on the revenge was if you were just gonna do this a chapter later. And the most baffling part is, AQUA's reaction to this shocking event is to pull the "actually, I didn't even like the revenge" card. But this is the same guy that decided, fuck coping with my trauma in a healthy way, let me go and make an activity I deeply enjoyed, deeply painful, 3 chapters ago, because he wants the revenge so bad. And now, after talking to one guy, you expect me to think AQUA doesn't bat another eye to his life purpose, basically, ending so suddenly? You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. It gets doubly stupid after he talks to AKANE about it, because how am I supposed to take anything AQUA does seriously when I know he is not just wrong, but under such a simple misconception that even AKANE, after hearing about the situation for 10 minutes, thought about an alternative solution. Did the trauma melt his brain? Well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me, oh come on! In the same fucking chapter, it is revealed that the dad was alive the whole time. What the fuck is the point to any of this then? Alright, the corpse is in the casket. It is so obvious that what Oshi no Ko is trying to do here is to be shocking on top of everything else. It seemingly doesn't matter to Akasaka how much the reader's engagement in the plot has been completely fucked, because surprise surprise, if you subvert expectations just to subvert it without thinking about what has come before, the audience would feel really cheated, like the things they got invested in just didn't matter. But you know, usually stories have one bad twist for the end. But I've never seen a series knock out 3 in a fucking row. Is this what VTubers do to a man? The conclusion to Tokyo Blade made no sense logistically and for AQUA's character, not helped by how the reveal right after completely undercuts any meaning to those events. But just to rub it all in, Akasaka tears the remains of an engaging narrative to shreds by undercutting its impact again, and promptly introducing us to romance anime misunderstanding mode, aka when the audience knows more than the dumb, mentally ill, not even good I hate you protagonists, and we're just waiting for the guy on screen to catch up, getting more and more frustrated as the inevitable pointless misunderstanding gets resolved. Are these rapid twists shocking? Yeah, at the cost of any charitability I'm willing to give to the story, which at this point is so obviously dangling the keys in front of its audience instead of having anything interesting to say. Fast forward to 30 chapters later, when AQUA, surprise surprise, finds out that he was wrong and that the corporate was still alive this entire time, and slips back into his vengeful persona. I can't care anymore. We're doing this again? His character has been thoroughly contradicted and ruined for more times than I care to count. And now AQUA just comes off as a pathetic, dumb, edgy teenager who's still clinging onto this revenge that is clearly not making him or anyone else around him happy. I wonder if this moment was supposed to be tragic in a, oh, he was getting better without thinking about revenge, but after a turn of events, he ended up in the same place right when he started. But even if we disregard how him being at peace made no sense, and disregard how the dramatic nature of the scene has been completely deflated, since we already knew this moment would come, he has not done fucking anything in the period between these 2 twists for me to even have the chance to think like that. And even if he did, I personally really wish he had just moved on, because I would rather read a story about that than returning to the revenge plot that has lost all sense of importance by this point. But I guess it's not true that nothing happened between these chapters. There's quite a lot of stuff with AKANE, actually. Look, we've circled back. AKANE and AQUA's relationship, like all things in this manga, started off promising. Oshi no Ko asks the age-old question, are relationships formed in reality dating shows genuine? Or just in general, how genuine are relationships? And like, side note, I'm only familiar with dating shows that come from my neck of the woods, which consists of ordinary people, completely unrelated to the industry, going on dates. But since in China, nobody was gonna watch that if celebrities aren't involved, their solution is to sit like 6 attractive actors in a room and make them watch a video of those people going on dates and making basic observational quips, and it's just it's just so darkly surreal to me. I don't know. Anyways, that is clearly not what Oshinoko is trying to go for here, as it tries to actually explore how entertainers feel when their romantic life is basically being publicized. Most of the time it's not that interesting, because AQUA is initially 200% focused on revenge, calling AKANE a valuable asset, even though he never really uses her for his own gain. I initially remembered him being able to get into Tokyo Blade because he and AKANE were a couple, but that's mostly because of this guy. On top of all of that, there's also this weird pseudo-attraction to Ai that doesn't really get explained, and just gets more and more confusing the more I think about it. Like, okay, so AQUA blushes at the sight of AKANE acting like Ai, and before we even get to think about the weird implications of that, the next chapter tells us that the doctor guy persona and AQUA, the teenager, is slowly fusing together, and then this whole thing just ends. I don't know how this has anything to do with what the fuck. Okay, I'm getting lost in the woods. Maybe the promising part was a bit of an exaggeration. I more meant confusing and pointless, but we can move on from this and talk about the developments in the Tokyo Blade arc. It turns out that AQUA is right, kind of, and AKANE, with her natural talent as an actor, was able to figure out the deal with his revenge after his first panic attack. This is the first and only time I would say AKANE's identity as an actress was able to leave a slightly more profound impact, as it is that ability to put yourself into other people's shoes that makes AKANE so empathetic towards our protagonist, something he really needs right now. But come the fuck on. You would kill the guy with him? What? Are you in the wrong show? I know it's an exaggerated statement, but still, this level of acceptance from her is a bit too off-putting to be compelling. She literally says even if AQUA's pure evil, she'll accept him for who he is, and when she became his girlfriend, she was expecting the worst? Where did that come from? I like morally gray characters, but AKANE has been the furthest from that ever since the introduction, so really, it just makes no sense for her to be like this. I don't like saying praise to ReZero, I think I start coughing blood when I do, but in this respect, Rem is just done so much better. Her unconditional faith in Subaru made so much more sense, considering how Subaru still saved her, even though she has an established dark side and would kill him in a heartbeat in another life. There was also a whole lot of other things that you have to watch to find out. Don't watch season 2 though, that's the bad one. Holy fuck, and we're not even at the twist yet, this was a mistake. After the big, dumb, stupid, dumb reveal that ruined the best character in the manga, and basically the entire series for me, AQUA is kind of confused about what to do. And that's when a B Komichi trip discussion inspires AKANE to bring up the question of them breaking up. It seems like we're finally bringing back the age-old question, and the answer is, it's nuanced. AKANE acknowledges that she both knew AQUA isn't exactly innocent, and that the relationship is not normal, so to say, but after spending all of that time with him, she knows there's a kind person inside of AQUA and that he's been under some heavy burdens. So despite everything, AKANE still wants to help AQUA shoulder that pressure. I like this gesture a lot, because it's one that rejects what a relationship is supposed to be, instead just portraying genuine compassion towards another human being. Except of course, AQUA is too fucking stupid to realize the mystery is far from over, which leaves AKANE distraught, and the audience devoid of hair. But where can we go from here? Well, certainly not what happens afterwards, so AKANE and AQUA go on a little expedition into AQUA's home in the previous life, which is a nice scene, I suppose. I just don't get what it adds to the narrative by this point.
Okay, so the anime actually fixes the issue by including the scene in the prologue, or the first episode, or the fucking movie, where it makes way more sense and makes the scene actually kind of compelling. So, yeah. Good job though, Kobo. Stamp of approval.
And he alludes to trying to find a corpse near the mountains. Later, Ruby and AKANE go on a walk, and wouldn't you know it, they do find a corpse of AQUA's past body, and AQUA, in classic AQUA fashion, takes responsibility for everything, even things he had no control in, which AKANE obviously objects to. This was a nice moment for AKANE to assert her position and try to help AQUA. So of course, the best way to respond was revealing how he actually did play a hand in this. AQUA starts talking about how he was purposefully trying to make AKANE find the corpse, and how he's constantly using AKANE, and how he's super fucking sorry and shit. Except, wait a minute, did you forget that Ruby found the body because of a mystical crow? We will get to you soon. Led them to the cave, a completely different location than where AKANE and AQUA was, so not because of AQUA? What the fuck are you even getting sad about, you fucking dumbass? And then, what's even more baffling, AKANE somehow comes to the conclusion that she's been the burden all along, and decides to leave him now, which causes AQUA to get up and kiss her, assuring that everything's alright since the revenge is over, and that he wants to protect AKANE. Let's disregard how we know the revenge will not be over, so everything he's saying is pointless. Somebody, explain to me how she had this thought pattern. Why is this in a real, best-selling manga series? They can't keep getting away with it! There's one more scene, after the reveal of the killer, that is equally bullshit in surprisingly similar ways, but I don't think I'll dive into the details. I'm gonna preserve my energy and talk about more thought-provoking subjects regarding Oshinoko. Please understand. Oh wait, the killer is revealed! This is your main guy, the main antagonist of the entire manga, and you want me to buy that the reason he's uncovered is because AKANE just bumps into him? What? Do you take me for a fucking lunatic? Okay, I guess that's fair. You might think I'm exaggerating, but no. It's seriously that simple. The reason AKANE ultimately discovers the name and age of the killer, it's Kamiki something something, I don't really care, is that she happens to run into him in an awarding ceremony, and with his eyes being identical to Aqua's, she was able to track him down. Well, to be more specific, the reason he bumped into her is because he sent these flowers that are the same I received, which means AKANE will die, I guess, except she doesn't, because Aka is desperate for cliffhangers. But there was still no reason for this guy to ever show up that we know of, besides the plot deciding it's time for him to be relevant. Wow, remember in Danganronpa, in the middle of an investigation, when the mastermind just shows up for no reason for a second? Remember how that made the mystery narrative so much better? Remember when this was a mystery narrative? That's about it. Oshinoko is still ongoing, so even though I can say that it is one of the most frustrating manga and one of the worst fall-offs of anything I've ever seen, I can't really say anything definitive about the story as a whole. Besides that, this guy is so fucking edgy, I can't take him seriously. Plus, the manga right now is, I think, moving towards a climax, so maybe it'll get better, who knows. The fact that it is in a pretty crucial point in the narrative almost made me hold off the video for a while, until I actually started catching up to it and realized that every chapter still brings me agony like no other. Remember when I told the director / foster dad for AQUA to film a documentary about her? No? Well, because it was never mentioned. You know, KANNA and AQUA might be my least favorite characters, but as comedy material, they are fucking perfect. How is this real? So fuck it, I'm doing it now. If Oshinoko turns out to be a masterpiece, I'll eat my shoes on camera or something. By now, you might be wondering how I am still going on about Oshinoko, which is a very valid question, but this series is just a pile of garbage that keeps on giving. Send help, let me out. Before I disappear into the abyss, there is one more crucial character from the series that I refrained from mentioning, because she ties into something far greater than herself, something I would like to end the video on. You probably know who she is. It's the other one. Ruby Hoshino, like her twin brother, is reincarnated from a previous life. She was disease-ridden for most of her life, eventually dying at the young age of 12. I never thought she was very interesting, because she's never been much more than an energetic, bubbly, funny girl. But she did get all of the best moments in the prologue, with Ai teaching Ruby how to dance, finally fulfilling her lifelong dream, which only makes Ai's death a few chapters later even grimmer. Ruby, after being exposed to the dark side of the industry and the cruel indifference of the public, has all the reason to be totally fed up with being an idol. But as she put it, Mama still shined brightly. Ruby is willing to still pursue her passion because she knew the way I shined inspired her to keep living, and she wants to do the same for even more people in the future. Or maybe she just wanted to become idol because mom is idol. I don't know, I'm reading too much into this probably. I'm a sucker for characters that still remain hopeful and optimistic in the face of grim reality, and Ruby is definitely that. Or at least she tries to be, because most of this manga isn't really grim, so the contrast just doesn't work that well here, but I digress. There are also minor moments I appreciated with her, like how she decides to not stage a YouTube video, because unlike I, Ruby doesn't want to start her career off with lies, even though she, didn't really know that I was lying. That's some pretty nice juxtaposition. But then, it happened. Nothing. Yeah, Ruby doesn't get a lot of screen time in the middle section of the story, for I guess understandable reasons. The story wanted to focus on Aqua's revenge story and these characters, and a wannabe idol just doesn't really fit. There is, however, one arc that pretty much centers around her journey, be Komichi's first concert, and things started not feeling right to me. Enter the most baffling fucking chapter in this entire series, chapter 39. You might know where I'm going with this. The chapter tells the story of a side character completely irrelevant to the rest of the story, someone who's also an idol. I think Oshinoko is trying to frame this as another realistic snippet into the idol industry, and it mostly succeeds. We go through this girl's relatively unremarkable career, from how she started, to how she realized idol work wasn't what she thought it was, to her slowly getting ignored as a part of the group, eventually deciding to quit on her own before the higher-ups decide her time is over. The story even ends with a nice gesture that the girl did start a successful clothing company, serving as an assurance and portraying the story as something people can take inspiration from. That's really nice. I think understanding when to call it quits is sometimes even more important than persisting on, and I like that a story has highlighted that. But then Ruby comes in and is like, actually, the reason the girl's quitting is because she's not obsessed with becoming an idol enough, and because she's not the chosen few. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, first off, the obsession part. I can see Ruby being characterized as dedicated, but obsessed with becoming an idol. It's a bit hard to believe when all she had to do to be in this industry is to be pretty because she's Ai's daughter and get scouted and then eventually join the agency that your surrogate mother owns. And if we're just gonna interpret this as the willpower to, I don't know, go through what idols have to go through on a regular basis, I guess, it would still be fucking stupid because she hasn't had dark encounters with the industry, as an idol I mean. Probably because she's been protected by this agency that again is owned by her fucking mom, and she's been stealing the spotlight ever since she's gotten on stage, again because she is literally I. Considering how literally I Ruby is, the chosen few part starts feeling so cynical. It's like Oshinoko is saying, unless you're born beautiful and have a leg up in the industry, sorry fucko, you're gonna have a hard time. Is that realistic? Yeah, definitely, but it does not fit when you're trying to portray Ruby as a hardworking, energetic girl who rejects the evil practices of the industry when she has taken literally every fucking advantage she could, probably without even noticing it. It's just shooting the themes of the story so far in the foot for no reason. Unless there's a possibility that this could be used later effectively, with Ruby realizing her privilege and the true nature of the industry, providing a turning point for her character. Lamau. But to be fair, Oshinoko later on does decide to twist Ruby's original character into something more sinister. Just, uh-oh, stinky, poopy. It's set up pretty early on that Ruby's motivation for becoming an idol was because of two things: to be like her mother, and to reunite with her beloved doctor in the past life, aka Goro, aka AQUA, after she's become a popular idol. The latter part's irony was pretty apparent to the readers from the start, since, well, Lamau, but it didn't mean it hit any less hard when Ruby, someone we've been still relatively invested in, breaks down after discovering the doctor's corpse. Except yes it did, because she found it through a magic fucking crow. Okay, we'll get to it soon. Still, alright, this is obviously a big deal for her, and Ruby seems to exude the same revenge energy AQUA had after Ai's death. The audience is already aware that the killer for both Goro and Ai is the same person though, so I did wonder how they were gonna connect the dots for Ruby. Not like this. A literal, actual plot device tells Ruby the entire script. No, I'm not kidding. We have never seen this character before. She's only described as some god who also controls the crows, I guess, and she tells Ruby that there was actually two people there. Again, literally giving the fucking script away. And no, there wasn't any lost intrigue because of this, since we already knew way back that the dad was still alive. Thank you, Oshinoko. But the fact that they just skipped a beat in telling the story, and by that extension also convinced its way to the body discovery, is just mind-boggling. But if the character was actually great after this turning point, I wouldn't care as much for the stupid way we got there. Unfortunately, Ruby is just confusing after the twist. AQUA was already distant, but after Ai's death and the start of his revenge is when he became the actual cold-hearted, not really edgelord we all love / hate today. So you'd assume something will also change in Ruby's personality. Even the official Oshinoko wiki says she's become the opposite of her former self, and I trust everything the Oshinoko wiki says, so tell me, why the fuck are there still so many goofy moments with her? Like, in front of people, sure, but even alone, she just does not seem like she's changed that much as a person, and even in moments where we're supposed to see her as evil, she's not. Okay, let's get into that a bit more. So Ruby and AQUA are now in this reality show all about pushing boundaries and uncovering areas society usually ignores. Before then, Ruby had found the previous director of Strawberry Productions, her and Ai's agency, who promises to give her more leads once she becomes more popular, and gives her some advice on how to climb up the ranks in the industry. Those advice being playing up a character and trying to build relationships with the assistant director, which Oshinoko tells us is cold and calculating, except it's just basic networking and performance art. Everybody needs to make friends with the right people to succeed in life, and every single public figure puts on some kind of persona. I guarantee you, this is framed as Ruby betraying who she was before, but I don't see why it's such a big deal she has decided to adapt to her environment, as growth in the industry becomes her primary goal. These inconsistencies with the text and the presentation sat me directly on the fence between feeling like this is a betrayal and this is not a problem at all. But what happened later really solidified that yeah, Ruby did nothing wrong and Oshinoko's fucking stupid. The show decides to center an episode around cosplay, including the erotic kind, but fucks up on the scheduling and goes too far in asking said erotic cosplayer questions she definitely is not comfortable with, eventually culminating in the cosplayer causing a ruckus online, the show in severe risk. It is then when Ruby came up with a plan to rescue the program by concocting a special episode going over the struggles a cosplayer might go through, ending in a spectacle that's both impactful but also leads to true mutual understanding. Damn, let's fucking go, Ruby! Wait, I was supposed to get mad at this? Oh, it's because Ruby heard about the showrunner's shitty tactics for getting more attention on their program and decided to append that by inviting a cosplayer who has a track record for leaking info to expose the people behind the show so that their shitty tactics get changed and the problems cosplayers face get more acknowledged. Can you repeat what part was I supposed to get mad at? Oh, it's the part where she invited a cosplayer to a TV program that she agreed to on her own? Or is it the part where Ruby expresses genuine compassion for this issue and decides to help the cosplayer out that is not faked, because like 2 chapters later, she would explain these problems to Aqua with her mask off, still thinking they are legitimate problems. And there's a small panel where it's supposed to be like a sinister thing. Are you fucking serious? I legit thought I missed something here. Maybe she was the one to arrange the scheduling program, maybe she came up with the sexual harassment-esque questions, but no. Ruby literally just invited a cosplayer over, which eventually led to everybody being better and the world being a happier place, something she explains in detail to Aqua. And this bitch Aqua, after Ruby's objectively great deed that did way more good than harm, could only muster up, are you okay with this? Aren't you supposed to be a pure idol who doesn't use people? Use what people?
I remember when cartoons were wholesome and taught me lessons about how much I was supposed to love my neighbor.
And then Ruby explains in even more detail how the harassment issue is near and dear to her, because I was subjected to that as well, and that she made a positive impact over what essentially could have been a salty tweet. And after all of that, we're still supposed to feel like Ruby is the bad guy, after she points out nobody in this industry advances while being pure, something both we, the audience, and especially fucking Aqua, should be aware by this point. And I think by this point, we should really be questioning what Oshinoko even believes in. This was supposed to be its own full-fledged segment discussing Oshinoko's themes about the entertainment industry, until I read the series a few more times and realized that most of it is written like a slice of life. And by that, I mean the status quo is never something to be challenged or questioned. Oshinoko, despite taking place in a very unique and callous industry, one the series is compliant in supplying endless amounts of trivia for, never makes the characters seriously go against that setting. The most they do is adapt or get saved by Aqua, with the underlying implication that it is what it is, baby, and we gotta roll with it. I'm not Mother's Basement, and I won't inject my Western politics into this Japanese cartoon, and honestly, I do not give a shit that the series does not want to address any serious issues that require industry-wide change. It's escapism, and as long as the story is still entertaining, I'll be down, which it kind of was sometimes, I guess. But then there's Ruby, and all of the shit that comes with it, pulling your attention in a million different places, only to come to exactly no conclusion on what the series considers okay, inspiring, or condemnable. When it comes to the themes of Oshinoko, it tried to be about so much, to be so profound, that it ended up being nothing more than vapid critiques anyone could have made, coupled with characters that don't fit into these themes and a general confused feeling to it all. For a series praised for its detailed, realistic portrayal of the industry, it still manages to fumble the bag when it actually gets the opportunity to comment on something, to put forth a thought more worth a damn than, oh no, that thing sure was bad, I guess, let's have my edgy MC save the day. Combine the confused themes with some of the worst character writing, structuring, and mystery writing I've ever seen. This is why Oshinoko is a frustrating disaster.
3 out of 10.
But I'd hate to end this holy fuck, no, video on a sour note. So here are some experiences that are more worth having than Oshinoko. If you want another series just like it, I've only read the one that was written by the PDF file, so sorry dude, I can't help you on that. But if you just want some good media to consume, here are some you might like.
Kaguya-sama wa Kokoro Serai.
You've probably read or watched this already, but in case you didn't, it's definitely worth your time. One of the funniest rom-coms I've ever read, which received a surprisingly good adaptation that only elevated the material. The manga kind of goes downhill after a while, but the ending still made me, someone who has zero to no affinity for Akasaka's work by that point, emotional. So take that as you will.
Oyasumi Pun Pun.
Fuck Joey for calling Oshinoko the Oyasumi Pun Pun of idol manga, but if you want to get real depressed while reading a manga, there's really no better choice than Pun Pun. Okay, it's not just about depression. The life stories it portrays are so compelling and explore so many aspects of our existence that summarizing it as anything might just be doing it a disservice. If you've ever had some tough times in your life, I think you will relate to some parts of the story. The ending nearly made me break down crying, which doesn't happen often. Can't guarantee you'll enjoy it, but I can guarantee there's no manga series like it.
Bakuman.
If you want another manga that dives deep into a certain industry, may I recommend Bakuman? Slightly sexist, Obata is a weird guy, but it is still a great look into the manga industry for people who haven't researched this for way too long. I didn't get much out of Bakuman, at least the first 20 chapters, because the industry talk was something I already knew, but also because I think it's gonna be way more impactful for actual artists who can relate to the characters' experiences more, so go check it out if that sounds interesting to you. Okay, last 2 recommendations.
My Broken Mariko.
If you want a series that explores grief better than whatever the fuck Oshi no Ko does, check out the 4-chapter short manga, My Broken Mariko. Both because it's a narrative and emotional masterwork, but also because I'm making a video on it next, and I would really appreciate it if you could watch that. And lastly, if you like good media in general, go watch Revolutionary Girl Utena. It is literally the best thing I've ever seen. It's so fucking ignored in the modern anime community, and I'm so fucking mad. Watch the good shit, goddammit. In conclusion, Oshi no Ko? More like, oh shit, no, okay, I'm done.